Hello, everyone. We just want to welcome those of you who have joined so far. My name is Georgina. We're just going to leave it another couple of minutes to let another few attendees join, and then we will kick off proceedings. But thank you very much for being here this evening. If there are any questions throughout the presentations, you can type your questions into chat. And my screen, it's at the bottom of the page of the screen. I presume it might be the same for at least some of you. So you can just type in a question there. We'll be moderating it as the session goes through, and we will address any questions that you will have at that stage. The session is going to be recorded as well. So if anybody wants to link into it afterwards online, you're very welcome to do that as well. So Anthony, I'll record now. So again, very welcome to everybody who has come to the session this evening. My name is Georgina. This is my colleague Anthony. We work in student recruitment, and we're very, very delighted to have you all here this evening to our session. Anthony and I are going to host the session on general talks and support services. We have some great presentations coming up. Anthony's going to talk to us about information for EU students applying to DCU. I'm going to give a presentation for information relevant to parents of students that are perhaps thinking of going to university. Our colleague is going to, Anne O'Connor, will give a presentation on disability and learning support services. And our other colleague, Natasha, will give presentations on access service and mature student services that we have at DCU. And then our other colleague, Molly Moran, is going to give a presentation on DCU sports and sports scholarships and so on. So Anthony, you're very welcome to go ahead there, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Georgina. So I'm Anthony. I'm one of the student recruitment team here at DCU. Welcome to Dublin. Welcome to Dublin City University. Welcome possibly to your future. So this particular presentation is about how you might think about Dublin and Dublin City University and applying to Ireland from schools across Europe and the UK and Switzerland and similar places in Europe. So this is the approximate structure I've got for the talk now, and it's going to be about 20 minutes or so. I'm not going to go through all of the courses I should mention. This is very much a high-level summary and introduction. The courses, the student life, those are going to be covered extensively in the presentations later on this channel and on other channels as well, depending on what you want to find out more about. Feedback from previous years, good questions to ask, to make notes about, to think about researching some more on later include: why do I want to go to Ireland? What courses available here match my interests, my academic background? Do I meet the entry qualifications? How do I apply? When do I apply? And how do I find out more? So this is all quite simple stuff, but I'm aware that for many of you, this is another university in another country with another application system to work through. So onwards. And to begin with, these are the experts. These are current students. You will be seeing some of them possibly on various other presentations tonight. They've all applied to DCU. They're all studying at DCU. There are students here who are from Italy. They've studied in Belgium. They've studied in Spain, looking at the ones I can see here, and I'm sure other places as well. So it is a diverse range of people, and genuinely they are the experts at things DCU. I can do the high level stuff, but the details about accommodation, about why I chose this course, about transport, about what the supports are like in this course, about work placements and intra, I'll talk about that a bit further on. genuinely they can provide the inside edge on what it's all about and why it's fun and why they are very happy to be at DCU, and therefore to give you ideas about why DCU could be a valid choice for your own future as well. If you were to talk to students about why they chose DCU, you're going to get some reasons like this for choosing DCU, for choosing Ireland more generally. And of course, as we know, the world is changing quite fast at the moment. Ireland is in the European Union, uses the euro, and you can go all the way through that list. And I'm sure you'll have your own other reasons as well. You might have family connections to Dublin or to Ireland, for example, or maybe somebody that you know and respect studied on the course a few years previously. Lots and lots of different reasons. And ultimately, it all boils down to the very bottom on the list. I want to study in Ireland. And it's not necessarily a reason that you can write down and say costs on one side, benefits on the other side, and just think about in some form of cold heart analysis. Actually, it's just where you want to be. And I'm here today, we are here today to help you think about your reasons, think about your options, your choices, and to help you make good decisions about your future studies in Ireland and at DCU. So let's get the hard bit out the way. Geography. Where is Ireland? And I have this slide in because we don't make too many assumptions. And Ireland is that green splodge. And if we break Ireland down a bit, you can see the island of Ireland is broken into two separate halves. In the top right-hand corner, you've got Northern Ireland, which is part of the United Kingdom, part of Britain. And if you're interested in applying to universities there, you are, of course, very welcome to do so. You would be applying through the British application system called UCAS, and you would, of course, be subject to their fee regulations, their visa restrictions, and so on. In terms of being in Ireland, we are in Dublin, so halfway down the coast on the right-hand side, and there are lots and lots of other towns and universities about the place. So there's universities in the greater Dublin area, in Galway, in Limerick, in Cork, also other universities based in other towns not on this map. So you could study in Waterford if you wanted to as well, for example, and Kilkenny and other places as well. So Athlone, for example, lots of other towns with universities as well. In terms of where we are in Dublin itself, we are very, 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 very well positioned. We're between the airport, which is the major airport on the entire island, and the middle of town. So in terms of getting to Dublin when you begin your study, or if you want to visit your child, your significant person at DCU, that's very, very easy. It's literally a short cab or a bus ride from the airport. Other towns in Ireland can be much, much further, 2-3 hours travel, for example, depending on how you do it. So very, very well positioned. And this is showing you central Dublin in more detail. So we've got the River Liffey running horizontally across the middle, and that's the historic heart of town with O'Connell Street and Temple Bar, which is a very fashionable nightlife area. And I'm sure that our students will be able to answer questions about that. We're based in North Dublin, between the middle of town and the airport. So we've got 3 main academic campuses. The major one is Glasnevin campus, and that's where the majority of our course and majority of our students are based. And on these 2 campuses, St. Patrick's and All Hallows, we've got students who are doing teaching and some humanities subjects as well. Other things in our area, there's the Botanic Gardens, very, very pretty, lovely place to go for a walk. There's also Croke Park just here, which is one of the major athletic stadiums in Dublin. There are big sporting events. And you can get to the sea very, very easily down here beyond Clontarf. And you can get up to Belfast in Northern Ireland very, very quickly by just heading north. There are trains and coaches and all that kind of stuff as well. So that's a little bit on the geography of Dublin. Other universities in the Dublin area, there are some in the centre, and there are also some to the south side as well, and to the west. But in terms of position to the airport, we are by far the closest. So there are about 30 institutions of higher education in Ireland. I haven't counted them exactly because the numbers vary a bit because they're submerging at the moment. But you've got big universities like us, you've got specialist medical schools, art schools, liberal arts colleges, universities in the Dublin area, universities in towns outside the Dublin area. So depending on what sort of experience you're looking for, there's a very wide range of places to choose from. Approximately 1,700 courses to choose between, which is a lot and more than enough for anybody to go through. And of course, it's very, very quick to do the research because now there's so much stuff online about different courses and how to compare them. applying via the CAO, which is the Common Applications platform for studying in Ireland, there are about 75,000 people each year. So it's a big number, substantially smaller, of course, than the UK, but of course the population there is that much larger. And this is the platform you apply to. I will talk about this during the presentation further on, but the important thing to know for now is that on your CAO form for courses at DCU, their undergraduate honours degree is what's called level 8. You can list up to 10 courses. And the important thing, this is the most important thing you will hear about the process of applying, is that you list them in preference order. So the course you want to study most goes top. And I'll talk about that a bit more further on, but for now, just write it down. So getting to DCU, not in terms of application process, but in terms of geography, there's lots and lots of different ways to do it. The public transport network in Dublin is evolving and changing quite quickly at the moment. So new bus routes are coming in, for example. You can also, of course, drive onto campus. There is car parking available. You do need to have a permit for it. I live about, say, 10 kilometers from campus. And when I'm on campus, I tend to cycle because it's faster, it's more fun. There's lots of bike sheds, lots of showers, all that kind of stuff. You can also come by train or by light rail to Drumcondra train station and various other stations in the area as well. So lots of ways to get to us. And of course, the accessibility of the campus is one of the many factors to think about when you're thinking about where to apply and what your preferences might be. Another key one to consider is accommodation. And it's worth flagging up that accommodation generally for universities in Ireland, and my talking with guidance counselors elsewhere in many other towns across Europe as well, it is complicated. There is a lot of pressure on accommodation. So think ahead, plan ahead. The basic advice we'd give for accommodation is that whatever university you're serious about applying to and that you put on your CAO form, you also consider accommodation, and you're also applying perhaps for on-campus accommodation as well. You might also want to look at off-campus accommodation, and of course all universities will have that. There are various private student villages, and our students' union can help in your search as well. Finally, of course, you may have family or friends in the Dublin area, or maybe you've got professional contacts who are from Ireland, and you can always ask them for advice. They may be flattered to ask. They can tell you lots of useful things about studying in Ireland, about living in Ireland. So network, talk to people, make notes, and then think, okay, what does this mean in terms of what I want to do next in terms of my process working out where to study, where to live, how to get to campus, and indeed what the courses are going to be. So that's all the theory stuff. The brutal facts, the calm facts about DCU, about 22,000 students, undergrad and postgrad, of which approximately, say, a fifth are international. So that would mean coming from outside Ireland. A lot of postgrad, a lot are coming from India and China, a lot also are coming from Europe and from the UK. The three academic campuses, as mentioned already, 70 undergrad courses. There will be presentations involving each of these courses in the course of this evening. And as Georgina mentioned, they will be recorded so you can access them all later if there are any that you miss during the course of the evening. Intra and work placements, I will come to further on. Employability, we're very, very good at it. We educate lots of nurses, lots of engineers, lots of teachers, all professions in high demand. Clubs and societies, yes, we have lots of them. This is the vital part of the student experience, certainly in Ireland and in Britain as well. And it's how you do things outside the lecture theatre, laboratories, project work, libraries, all that kind of stuff. So how you meet people that you might not normally run across during your academic studies. And this is a very good question to ask students when you run across them, what club or societies do you join? And they're brilliant for people who will talk to you calmly when your academic study is tough and it's hard. And then finally, autism friendly. I'm sure that'll be talked about a bit further on, but it's something that we've thought deliberately about as a university and how we help people who are neurodiverse to succeed in their studies. So we have 5 faculties, and the reason for this slide is very simply that different universities organize things in different ways. And it's important not to get too focused, too hung up on the individual faculty divisions, because different universities will organize them differently. We don't, for example, do architecture, but universities that do, they all need to put those courses somewhere. We don't do medicine or dentistry or veterinary either. So again, we just don't have faculties for those areas. But to explain the difference very, very simply, Institute of Education, where we train teachers, how we hand knowledge on from one generation to the next. The business school, how we exchange time for money, money for anything and everything, for pensions, mortgages, foods, transport tickets, insurance, going to concerts, clothes, cat food, anything and everything. So how the economy works, basically. Engineering and computing, how we recognize problems, how we solve problems, how we make those problems available, the solutions to those problems available more generally to the wider world. So a problem, a solution, and then we manufacture it and we roll it out, whether it's a physical solution in engineering or whether it's a piece of software or an app. Science and health, how the world works, physics, chemistry, biology, how we work, so nursing, psychology, sports science, and there's also some maths there as well. And then finally, humanities and social sciences. So we're telling stories, and you'll be hearing stories all the way through the course of this entire evening. Stories about where I came from, what I'm doing at DCU, what I want to do next, what I like about it. So there's that practical narrative bit. Also, of course, law, languages, journalism, and there's even a course in jazz as well. So 70 courses or so, 5 faculties, lots of overlap between them. Think flexibly and think if this course isn't quite the one I want to do, I think, then maybe there's a course here that's very, very similar, or maybe actually there's so many optional modules available in, say, third and fourth years, most degrees are 4 years long, that actually that will be all right. So, intra and work placement. This is one of the more important slides that you will see in the course of this evening. And to explain the difference, first of all, a work placement, parts of teaching and nursing degrees, they're called work placements, professional placements. It's part of what you need to do as the requirements for professional registration as a nurse with NMBI, the Nursing and Midwifery Board in Ireland, and in terms of teaching for the Teaching Council in Ireland as well. And that means you've got this qualification, this title, and you can then take yourself, and if you want, and go and work abroad, say in Britain or indeed further afield. Intra is very, very, very different. And properly done, it can change the shape of your career. It could potentially also change the shape of your life as well. So it happens by and large in third year. There are a few exceptions. Most courses have the options to intra that don't have professional placements already. So business courses, for example, engineering, sciences, they will pretty much all have intra on them. In third year, can last one semester, can last the entire academic year. Again, varies course by course. The details will be on the course web pages, and you can genuinely end up working for a company like one of these. So the way it works is they contact us and they say, we want this kind of student to come and do placements with, to do intra-work placements with us. And we will say, okay, we'll send the details out, the relevant bodies of students. We will talk to you about how to do a good application, how to do a good interview, and then it's up to the company who they employ. These intra placements, they're paid, so they can make a major contribution towards the cost of literally being a student, towards the cost of your undergrad degree. You'll also learn a lot, and it'll help you think about what you want to specialize into, perhaps in your final year module options, or what kind of final year research project you want to do, or what kind of job you want to do afterwards. And it's also worth noting, as you'll see, it says here, lots and lots of students get job offers from their intra-work placement provider, because, to put it very, very simply, they are talent spotting. And we all know that talent is a rare and precious thing. And they will have spent maybe 6 months, maybe pretty much an entire year getting to know you, what you're like as a colleague to work with, how you think, whether you fit well with the culture of the company, all that kind of stuff. So that's why properly done, it can help change the shape of your career. And of course, if they do offer you a job when you graduate, then you can go and work for them for some years. They can pay you quite well, perhaps. They may also, of course, develop your career professionally by paying for you to do, say, a master's program, or depending on what it might be, a PhD. Lots of options potentially available for you. So again, it's worth talking to students about these options. Many of the students are going to be on placement at the moment. So for engineers, for example, many engineers do their placements in this semester. So it will depend on who's around, but you can ask us questions via the chat and we'll find somebody to answer them in due course. So back to what you do when you're not being a student, when you're not on your placement, when you're not in a laboratory, when you're not doing some project work, when you're not in a library writing an essay, or whatever else it might be, club and societies. And as you can see, there are lots, going all the way from, well, archery, engineering, poker, politics, psychological, lots of different things that you can do. And we recommend very, very, very strongly, go outside your comfort zone, try something new, because that's how you will learn a lot about who you are, what you do next, and how you're going to get there. So the students, they're all studying one of these courses. And again, I'm not going to go through these at all, just to give you an example of, what a range of courses might be and how hard it can be. We know how hard it can be to think, what do I want to do? What are my order preferences to be? And of course, that's why you're here tonight. So that's where you can do the research from. And you'll see also that you can get onto a course webpage very, very quickly once you know the DCU course code. You just type in dcu.ie DC and then the course number. So that's the beginning of the end of the first part of the presentation. Now a bit on how you apply and how the application process works. So the students, they've all applied. And dates and deadlines. So assuming you're studying at a school in the European Union, the UK, EFTA, doing qualifications from those areas, or IB diploma or the Euro baccalaureate, then you apply via CAO, this common platform. It is cheapest if you register your account now, and you can put some course preferences down as well. And you can then change your order of preferences later on in the academic year if you want for most courses. It's a very, very, very fast process to do. There is no personal statement for the courses. Some will have an aptitude test, some may have an audition, some, if you're applying to art school, we don't have an art school, they might ask for a portfolio. And it is very, very simple. If you're with a guidance counselor who knows exactly how the process works, and you know what courses you want to study, and you've done all that kind of prep work already, you could do the entire thing literally in half an hour. It is very, very, very swift. And what else? Hear and dare forms. So mitigating reasons. If, say, you've got complicated medical reasons affecting your academic performance, there's paperwork to allow for that as well. That needs to go in by the 1st of March. Again, talk to your guidance counselor about it. Finally, I was mentioning earlier the importance of accommodation. There is a reminder on it again. If you're listening to us from schools outside the Europe, UK, or if you're doing a combination of European Union and, shall we say, for example, American high school diploma courses or AP courses, then you'll be applying direct to us, not via CAO. And details of that on the website. Have a chat to our admissions team there first, international admissions at dcu.ie for advice there, and they will guide you through what you need to do and what you need to know. I'm going to imagine that most of you are international baccalaureate, and the basic principles are similar for other things like A-levels or French bac as well. So for IB, the entire diploma, minimum of 24 points. DCU courses are all competitive. The actual score can be much higher, 30, 35, 40 points even. Some courses have specific requirements. So engineering courses, for example, they want high-level mathematics, H4 and Irish leaving cert terms, which means a 5 at high-level international baccalaureate, ideally analysis and approaches, if that's what you're doing. We don't do the careers program at the moment. There are conversations about that, I believe. And it's worth knowing also that International Baccalaureate Organization can send your results direct to CAO. You'll need to enable that facility on your account with International Baccalaureate, but that will eliminate a source of worry for you. In terms of how offers are made, so the results got into CAO, and then CAO and admissions will review them, and the university will check that you meet any specific requirements for, say, university matriculation, so English and maths, and course requirements, say maybe high-level maths, or maybe a language, or maybe a science. And then you get ranked in comparison with other people who are applying through the CAO. There's a common scale of CAO points where we can put all applicants onto the same scale. And then you get made one offer. And it's for your highest preference course of which you meet requirements and have enough points relative to other candidates. So this is why it's so very, very important to list your courses in preference order. What you want most goes top, because that's the one you want to have as your first offer. It is possible, you'll see from the sentence in the brackets, that you might get an offer slightly later in the cycle if you become eligible for it. But it happens, and we'll talk you through the process as well. I should mention there's lots and lots of advice on the CAO website about how the process works, about physically how to fill in the form, including, for example, a demo application that you can practice filling in. And also there's lots of guides and there's a video walkthrough, which I find very useful as well, even now. The other thing, of course, is to check your email, check your CAO account regularly, by which I would mean at this time of year, say once a week, just to see what's come into it. And then in the offer making period, so August, you're checking it daily, please, including your spam folders. So, as a quick summary, identify the courses that you're interested in. Make sure you're doing the right subjects to meet the course requirements. So, for engineering, for example, high level maths, courses with languages, you'll need the relevant language, and so on. And the details for what the requirements are will be on the course webpage. So, again, just look it up on the website, go to the entry requirements section. Check also that your predicted grade from school is approximately the same ballpark as the minimum points on the course webpage. The minimum points is the last person who got an offer in the previous admission cycle. So it's an approximate guide to where it might go, though it will vary, the CAO minimum points year on year, depending basically on supply and demand. And then also check for aptitude test, interviews, auditions. So we have a course in jazz, there's an audition for that. If you want to do medicine, remember we don't do medicine, there's an aptitude test for that as well. So having done all the prep work, submit your application to CAO, courses in preference order by the deadline, check your inbox. You can rearrange your order of preference for most courses in May, June time, and follow advice from the CAO on getting your exam result in and responding to offers in due course. It is quite late in the cycle for making offers, bearing in mind that we are politically in quite an unstable time at the moment. That's also quite useful to have. You're not locked into being somewhere that may be less happy, shall we say, several months in advance. The offers come out in August and the course teaching will start in September. That's also, of course, why it's important to get your accommodation thoughts in order as well. The other question we get asked a lot is fees and fee status, and it's complicated. It's a simple answer. You can see the link there to our colleagues in fees, and basically it's worth planning ahead and worth having a look at. On the next slide, this is how much it might cost, and you'll see the lovely enticing phrase, free fees. And if you meet those requirements here, then you would probably qualify for free fees. I say probably because this is general advice. So again, go through the details and take it on from there. Also, you may be eligible for grants from SUSI, Student Universal Support Ireland, and that might cover, for example, your student contribution and student centre levy. Again, details on the website. They're for people who are from less wealthy backgrounds, basically. International fees, it varies depending on the course. Living expenses, again, brilliant thing to ask our current students about. So accommodation, food, transport, but a ballpark figure, you're looking at 1,100, 1,600 euros per month. And yeah, do the maths basically. Open days, of course, we've got a postgrad open day in March. Open days also in April and June. The June one is brilliant because it's just before the end of change of mind. And also, of course, after you've done your IB exams and other exams. So come down, have a chat to us, and it would be worthwhile just to see what DCU is like. How to stay in touch with us. And that's me done.
Anthony, thank you so much. That was fantastic. There is one question there for you. I'll call it out if that's okay.
Yep.
Somebody is asking, do you have to attach any documents or motivational letters with the application?
If you are applying via CAO, then no. Literally, the offers are made on the basis of exam results. So the only caveat to watch out for is that there may be an audition or an aptitude test if you're doing medicine, but generally no motivational statement. So very fast to do.
Okay. If there are any other questions, you're welcome to type into the Q&A there. As I say, at the end of my screen, on my screen, it's at the end of my screen. I imagine it's the same for yourselves. We'll hold off a couple of minutes just to see if anybody has any other questions. While we're waiting to see if there are any other questions, Anthony, I'm just going to share my presentation if you don't mind, but we won't ignore any questions that might come in. Okay, so thank you. Anthony, can you indicate to me, can you see that and still hear me?
I am good on both.
Thank you very much. There's 2 questions in Q&A, Anthony. I will read them out. Somebody needs information about Access program, please. Yes, we are going to have a speaker starting at 6 o'clock, who is our colleague Natasha, who is all things Access program. Another person is asking, how do I submit my exam results to the CAO if I'm from the EU?
Okay, submitting exam results to CAO. If you're doing IB or British A-levels, then I believe they can be submitted direct via the exam board. If you're doing anything else, then you need to send them in literally by post. And if those are not in English, they need to be done as a certified translation. So get it translated, stamped, and sent off.
Anthony, do we have to have proof of English as a mature student? Can we use communication module?
So many students who are not doing English within their school leaving exams, they will often do an IELTS or similar. And that's also quite useful for convincing employers as well.
Okay. If we attach documents that are not needed, would that be a problem?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay. And do I have to document my exam results with the application, or can I add them later on after I obtain them?
If you haven't got the exam results yet, then you can't attach them, is one way to look at it. So yes, you can add them later on.
Okay.
Again, get them in as soon as you can after they're available.
Absolutely. And is there any way to get an earlier offer than August when I'm currently doing a gap year and have my IB results already?
You would be applying via CAO with the results in place. Yes, I think you can get a result earlier. It will come through in an earlier round because you got the results already.
I did the IB last year. I already have my results. Then how can I send my results?
Because the sorry, losing words. Because the exams already happened, you need to send them in manually to CAO. Assuming you're applying via CAO.
There's somebody asking, I'm from India, who is the agent I should contact? I should say for that one, contact our global team, Anthony. Is that about right?
That's the correct
and they will direct you.
Yeah.
And do all documents have to be sent by post, diploma, exams, results, etc.?
Yep.
Yes. By post as well, Anthony. By post.
Yep.
Okay. And by the way, first of all, a warm welcome to anybody who's joined us since we opened up at 4:30. You're all very welcome. Thank you so much, Anthony, for that wonderful presentation. You are very welcome to contact us here after. Our email address is studentrecruitment@dcu.ie. For any other questions you might have, we're always ready, willing, and able to answer those. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and give my presentation, actually. So my name is Georgina, and I am with the student recruitment team in DCU. And this evening, I'm going to give a presentation on information for parents relevant to having a student or a loved one or a friend who wants to possibly go to university. So there. So I'm going to talk a little bit about NFQ, which is our National Framework of Qualifications. Anthony has touched on already on the CAO, the Central Applications Office. I'm going to talk a little bit about further education and training, what also can be commonly known as post-leaving cert courses, and just a little bit about research for students who wish to come to university and DCU perhaps. So this is what's called the NFQ. It's a National Framework of Qualifications. And what it is how qualifications are awarded and standardised in Ireland. So the Leaving Cert students that are doing their Leaving Cert are operating from level 4 and 5, level 4 and 5. Then there are colleges of further education. So local colleges of further education, just as examples, Whitehall College of Further Education, Dunboyne College of Further Education, they operate and run courses at level 5 and 6. And then there are the technical universities, for example, TU Dublin. They offer courses at level 6 up to 10, so all the way up to doing a PhD. And DCU is a university, and we only do qualifications starting at level 8 and again going up to level 10, which would be PhD. So very briefly, how to set up your CAO account. Well, we're all aware that a lot of you will already have set up an account, and there at the top of the screen there, you will see the green button that says apply, or if you've already applied, you've got the one that you can click into your application and see where your application is at. It's a fabulous website, really, with lots and lots and lots of accessible and pertinent information. For example, important dates that are coming up, or if you need information on here and there access routes as well. So this is what your application form is going to look like. We really can't stress enough how important it is to fill out every area that you're asked to fill out and fill it out accurately. So you can see here the absolute basics, but I'll say it once, I'm going to say it a couple of times actually. Be very careful and very realistic about what email address you put in. It has to be an email address that will be checked and will be checked quite regularly, because you will get correspondence from the CAO. And you also have to make sure that you check your spam as part of that, because if the email goes in there first, don't miss what it is they have to say or what it is they're asking you to do. So this is what the next page is going to look like. Again, an important page, because really what you have to do is tick every box that applies to you in relation to what exams you are taking. So for example, we possibly have a lot of people online at the moment who are either doing the Leaving Cert this year, or are parents of students doing Leaving Cert this year. You have to check box number 1. Other students joining us this evening might be doing a college post-Leaving Cert course in a local college of further education at level 5 or 6. They have to tick number 2, or we could even have some mature students, just as an example, they would tick box 7. Please make sure you tick all the boxes that apply to you. So for example, you might have done a post-Leaving Cert course at level 5 or 6 in a college of further education to hit number 2, but maybe you did the Leaving Cert as well last year. You might also want to tick that as well, so they can take from your best round of results and exams. Equally the same for mature students who might also be doing a level 5 and 6. Bottom line is, make sure you tick every box that applies to whatever exams you're doing or have done. So again, you're going to also be asked to create a password, and this is another very important part. It's a password that you will be using to access information on your particular CAO application. So very importantly, having all the information in correctly. Also very important, having a password created and that you have the relevant email address in for checking the emails and checking that nothing has gotten stuck in spam. So applying to university via the CAO, you really have to go through the Central Applications Office, and the address is www.cao.ie. It's a great website again. Universities cannot take direct applications from students. So some of the pertinent dates were, it opened up on the 5th of November. Everybody was welcome to start their application at that stage. It will be closing on the 1st of February for applications. Your fee at that stage will be €50. However, if you apply by the 20th of January, your fee has been reduced to 35. So it's a good option to apply before then. The 1st of May is the late, up to the date that the late applications can apply. At that stage, your fee is going to have increased to 65. That's if you've just been late applying before the 1st of February, for example. The 5th of May, your online change of mind facility becomes available, and it's free. It means that you can go on to CAO, you can check your order of preference of which you've put in your courses, and that you've ticked the boxes of exams you're doing, you've uploaded documents if you're eligible for here and there, etc., etc. 1st of March is your closing date for final completion of your here and there forms, and on the 1st of July, your change of mind, any CAO facility closes, and that's when you have had to have made your informed choices and done your research to the courses that you want to do in university, potentially, and again, that you've paid attention to the strict order of preference in which you have them on your CAO form. I will talk to that in the following slides. So very importantly, your application number will be supplied to you by the CAO office once you have made application. You're going to get it by email. So again, check spam, and it might also be texted to you if you've given permission for that. This application number is private, and you will be using it with every correspondence between you, the applicant, and the CAO going forward. So just really important to note all of these numbers. Again, checking your spam. Note your password as well. So check your CAO number, check your password for your CAO account and your email address, whatever email is the correspondences are coming into. And again, you are not again, but to say you will be getting a Leaving Cert number that will be supplied to you by your school at a later stage. And do not forget to put that in and include that on your CAO account once you have it. It's very important to put that in. I know of somebody who forgot, being so busy with all exam stress and everything, forgot to put their Leaving Cert number in, did very well in their Leaving Cert, but got absolutely no offers at the end of the day because they hadn't supplied their Leaving Cert number. So it was very, very stressful and an unnecessary stress for that person at that time. So don't forget to put in your Leaving Cert number. So you will be getting a statement of application record. It will be emailed to you by the CAO office before the end of May. Very important that you don't miss this email, and very important that you check it. Again, your strict order of preference for your courses that you want to do is really important. I'll explain that again in slides following on for this one, but it is very important that you've order of preference of how and when, in what order you want to be offered a course at the end of the day. Check that you've got the courses down properly. Check that you've got the course codes in correctly so you get the right offer. Check that you've exams that you're going to be taking mentioned. And if you're eligible for here or there, check that you've that recorded and whatever documents they might need for that. Do not forget to put in your Leaving Cert number later in the year, and inform CAO if there are any areas, inform them immediately of that. So we're going to talk a little bit now about the Leaving Cert relationship with the CAO. You get points, you hopefully take entry requirements, and hopefully, in an ideal world, you get that offer that you really want. So every student receives points for their Leaving Cert performance. Points are attached to grades. So for example, a H2 grade would be 77 points, which would be around 70–79% in the exam. And the overall points that you gain via the Leaving Cert will be calculated using the 6th highest grades from the exams that you've taken, and the maximum points available to you will be 625. General entry requirements are really important. So points obviously are really important for the Leaving Cert and for making sure that you get the offer that you want. You also have to pay attention to what general entry requirements are attached to each course as well. So for example, in DCU, we may need a minimum of 6 Leaving Cert subjects at grade 06 H7, and these have to include English or Irish and maths. And in addition, the applicants must present at least 2 subjects at grade H5. There are specific course requirements as well. So for example, you need a H4 in Irish for primary teaching. Now, the points this year for primary teaching were in the late 400s. So even if you got into the 500s and really wanted primary school teaching, but you don't have a H4 in Irish, you will not be getting an offer on that. So always be very sure you're clear of your entry requirements. The same applies for some of our other courses like engineering, which would need at least a H4 in maths. Point requirements are made up of supply versus demand. So for example, this year we're 510 points for business studies DC 111 or 452 for health and society. But what determines these course points are the number of applicants. So how popular is that course in that given Leaving Cert year? How many places are on that particular course? And how well the applicants perform. And this determines what points go for each course. It's not done by the individual university or anything else. Points will fluctuate a little bit. In general, we cannot predict grades. We cannot and we won't. They fluctuate a little bit. They generally don't fluctuate too much. But in relation to what you see, points for a course, that's what they were. That's what the person with the lowest points got in to get into that course in that given year. So keep an eye on them, but don't try to predict them. So there we've talked a little bit about points, and you understand that entry requirements are equally important. And does this lead to an offer? In an ideal world, yes, and hopefully, and we'd love to see many of you coming to DCU in September 26. So based on your points and entry requirements, the CAO will generate an offer based on your student's course order of preference. So what it is you have to be very sure that you've done your research. The student has to be very sure that they've done their research and that they put down the preference in order of which they would like to be offered a course. In other words, in an ideal world, and all goes really well with their exams, what would they like to be offered first? If they didn't get that exactly, what one would they be very happy to take second? And then if that doesn't quite work out, what would they be happy to accept third? Again, doing your research on the course is very important and putting them in order depending on what you want to be offered in what order. Try not to predict points, places, or grades either. So this is an example of how to put the order of preference and do it correctly on your CAO form. You'll have 10 choices, for example, at level 8. So I've done my research. I have looked up the fact that I am eligible in relation to course requirements, as in I am doing honours maths and I expect to get at least a H4. And I know that I really want to get engineering DC 200. I am putting that first because that is the course I really want to get and I hope to get. Here's what it would look like. Obviously, you've got 1 to 10 on your actual CAO. I just put in 3 for sake of comparison and example. I want to get engineering DC 200. I know the points are around 543, and I'm putting that first. I hope to get in around 543 points, 550 maybe, just to be safe if the points change at all. So I am putting that first. But I've done my research. I've decided that I really like the sound of computer science. I have a technical, I have a problem-solving brain, and I like doing engineering or computer type work. So I'm going to put that down as my second choice. If I don't get my 550 whatever points, I am very happy to do computer science. I've done more research, and I've also decided that they have a really great course in DCU called Computing for Business, DC 120. It's still technical. It's under the computer science department, but it also links me with the world of business, and I'm really quite interested in that. I put them in order of preference as I would wish to be offered to them in the real world when I get my results. If I get their points and meet the entry requirements for DC, Engineering DC 200, I'm going to get offered that. And every other course that I've chosen from 2 down to 10 will be wiped off my options, gone, because the computer has determined and the CAO system has determined that I'm getting my first offer, the one that I would really like to get. This is an example of how not to order the CAO. The course I really want is Computing for Business, but because Computing for Business is lower than engineering and computer science, maybe I should put them lower on my list. So that's what I do. I really want Computing for Business, but I'm looking at points. I'm trying to gauge grades. I'm trying to look at the point system, and I'm trying to make guessing, part of my choice. So I put Computing for Business that I really want down third, and engineering first, and computer science because those points are higher. If I get enough points and I meet all the entry requirements for any course above Computing for Business, I am going to get offered one of those and not Computing for Business that I really want. If I got my 550, 560, I will get offered Engineering DC 200, and the rest of my options will be wiped off my CAO offer. So do not try and guess, just put in the course that you want to be in strict order of preference if should your leaving results go exactly the way you want them to go, because you want to get the offer that you want to get. And understand that even if I got, we'll say my 550 and I'd really like doing Computing for Business, you cannot go back to the CAO or the university and say, I have enough points for Computing for Business, so I'll just take that. You've made your choice, and that is on the CAO, and you will be offered Engineering DC 200. So on occasion, if a student gets offered, for example, their fourth choice on their list, on occasion, it is possible to be offered something above number 4. You can't be offered anything below, but on occasion, you might get an offer of something above number 4. That's if a course doesn't fill and if it's in the first round offers. It is really quite rare in DCU because our courses fill up. So I would not bank on that at all, but it does happen in some other universities, for example, and on occasion. So, for example, in first round offers, Computing for Business, points were 400. There was 120 places on the course, 110 filled, which left 10. So there's 10 places available for this course in round 2, and you could get offered one of those. Again, it's not something that I would be banking on. It's not an impossibility. It's quite rare. So that's how you could get offered something above your number 4, but you'll never get anything offered below if you get your first choice. So that's points and entry requirements and leading to you getting your offer. So accepting a place or deferring a place, accept your offer by the reply date, after which the offer will be lost if you don't accept by that date that you're given. Deferring, if you wish to defer an offer of a place, do not accept your offer. Instead, you have to email the admissions office of the university, of the higher education institute that you want to go to. Email them immediately. Give your name as it appears on the CAO. Quote your CAO application number and the course code that you wish to defer and the name of the course and the reasons for your request, and mark your email deferred entry. The admissions office of that institution do that at least 2 days before the reply date of the offer notice. So we've gone through a little bit the National Framework of Qualifications applying to the CAO. I'm going to talk a little bit now about PLC routes. So again, just very quickly going back to our National Framework of Qualifications, what we're talking about is, again, the Leaving Cert students are doing somewhere level 4 or 5, and then the colleges of further education do level 5 and 6. And for example, again, that could be Whitehall College of Further Education, just an example, or Dunboyne. Your technical universities like TU Dublin, they do from level 6 up to 10, and we in DCU start at level 8. But just to go back to colleges of further education, they do level 5 and 6, and you could do what's called a further education course, often also known as a post-leaving cert course. In DCU, we reserve up to 10% of places on most courses for people applying through the further education and training application route. Again, post-leaving cert courses. We've got a page dedicated to this on our website. It's dcu.ie/FE. And this is an excellent page. It will allow you to check all the courses, the number of places that we keep available for FE applicants, and any entry requirements that you might need in relation to the particular course that you're looking at. You must have a full QQI qualification, a post-leaving cert course at level 5 of award in a single sitting. In other words, you can't do some modules 1 year, some modules the next year, and add them together. It needs to be a level 5 award in one single sitting, one single year. Specific module requirements must be noted as well. So for example, for some of our courses, you might need 5N 1833 maths. You'll see all of this on our website, and you just pay attention to what modules you might need, and then you can find out which colleges of further education run those particular courses to give you the best opportunity to get into the course that you might want to get into in DCU. We say a minimum of 5 distinctions in your course, but realistically, you're aiming for something more like all distinctions to give you the best chance of getting into the DCU course that you would like to do. It is a very competitive process, and you're in competition with all of the other colleges of further education around the country as well. But again, it's not impossible, and up to 10% of our intake every year is through colleges of further education into our courses. And if you're completing a level 6 award in a college of further education, not a level 5, you can also apply through advanced entry. Again, information on our website. So to have most DCU courses and programs have places for students coming via the post-leaving cert QQI route, except our primary school teacher Bachelor of Education. You cannot do our secondary level teaching with Irish and another language, or you can't get into our actuarial maths, but they're straight into actuarial maths, but there is some entry via common entry and financial maths. So just a quick recap. CAO website, you need to tick all the boxes that you need. Box 2 for being a QQI FET applicant, another post-leaving cert course applicant. If you've completed a leaving cert and you also want to include that, like you did your leaving cert, for example, last year, you want to include that to give you the best option for which results will be chosen for you to get your course, please tick box 1 for that. Also, some of our business courses and our economics, politics and law will accept your leaving cert maths, and that will be added to your QQI qualification if you want to do business or economics, politics and law. If you're a mature student, please tick box 7, and all of the information again is on dcu.ie/FE. So your QQI applicants, your QQ applicants who successfully meet the course requirements will receive their offer in early August before the Leaving Cert. So just to go back again very quickly, don't forget to tick box 2 here in your CAO application. If you've also done the Leaving Cert in recent times, you can tick number 1 if you want, or if you're a mature student, you can tick number 7. You might also be eligible to tick number 2 as well, your QQI application as well. Here's the page of dcu.ie / what it looks like. I've just picked the Faculty of Business, and this is what it will tell you. All the different courses there. It tells you the approximate number of places we held in 2025, and there what the points were, and also the requirements on the right hand. Check in there to see if there are any particular requirements for that course. So we've gone through PLC routes to DCU as well, and now what I'd just like to go through very briefly before finishing up is checking any entry requirements for university along with the points and subject requirements. Do your research. You can't say it enough. It's so important both for you to understand what requirements are needed to get into the course you want, but also to have a very solid knowledge of the course that you're getting into. Course titles will give you a great insight in ways into what course you're getting into, but there's lots of information that you'll need to have. For example, what modules run year on year, about doing your intra-placement integrated training opportunity, or, all of those interesting things to see if the course really suits you. And also, if it's exam or if it's a continuous assessment, or what suits your learning style as well. Do not forget to put your courses on the CAO in your strict order of preference. In other words, the course that you really want to be offered and want to do goes first. You've done your research, you've picked some other courses, so the second one that you would really like to be offered if you don't get your first choice, your third one, and so on. Don't try and play with or anticipate, grades or anything like that. Just put them in order of preference of how you'd like to be offered them by the CAO. Explore alternative pathways. We've just gone into post-leaving cert routes there as well. And, listen to the student if you're a parent or a guardian and help them find something that they might like to do. We also can't recommend enough attending open days. They are a fantastic way for you to explore DCU, see where it is, what transport you have to get there, talk to lecturers, go to mini lectures, talk to students who are doing the course you think you might want to do, and generally get the feel for DCU, and if it is the higher education institute that will suit you going forward. So I just want to say an absolute thank you for listening to my presentation today. It is being recorded. You can go and watch it on recordings as well. And thank you very much for today. So for listening today, are there any questions for me, Anthony? Were you listening there or looking there? Were there any questions?
Hello. Yes, I've been answering them all in the chat.
Oh, very good.
And I believe that at the moment everybody is happy and answered.
Okay, I'll just leave 1 minute in case there's any more questions. In the meantime, Anne, very welcome. Our next presentation is going to be by Anne O'Connor, who is going to talk to us about disability and learning support service. And Anne, you're very welcome to share your presentation now. And if there's no more questions in a minute or so, you can begin then.
Thanks, Georgina.
Oh, Anne, you're very welcome. You're welcome to go ahead whenever you want, actually, because I don't see any more questions coming up.
Grand. I've just asked to share. Yep. Okay. You can see that, Georgina. Yeah.
That's all perfect, Anne. I can see and hear.
Brilliant. Thanks, Georgina. Okay, will I start? So good evening, everybody. My name is Anne O'Connor, and I'm the head of the Disability and Learning Support Service here at Dublin City University. And this evening, I'm going to take you through just two main topics, and it'd be more of an overview of both of them. So I'm going to take you through DARE. I'm going to talk about DARE and what that disability access route to education is, and who can apply, and how you apply for it, and how it works in relation to the CAO offers. And then secondly, I'm going to take you through some of the supports that are available for students that have a disability or a medical condition or dyslexia or mental health. So yeah, they're my two main topics, and similar to Georgina, if there's any questions at all, please stick them in the chat there and I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, so what is DARE? So DARE is the Disability Access Route to Education, as I said, and this is an admissions route for students that may have a disability or a medical condition or mental health or dyslexia that have had to work harder than others in their class to achieve their Leaving Cert results. And it may be that they have missed school because of their condition, their medical condition or mental health difficulty. Perhaps it takes them longer to do their homework because of their concentration if they have a diagnosis of ADD. They just haven't been able to engage with the curriculum in comparison to their colleagues and to their classmates. So this recognises the fact that they may not achieve the points that they could have achieved had they not had that diagnosis. So who can apply for DARE? So students, there's this whole range of category of students who can apply for DARE, including students who are autistic or of autism, students with ADD or ADHD, so attention deficit disorder or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, students who are blind or have sight loss, students who are deaf or hard of hearing, students with developmental coordination disorder or DCD or dyspraxia, students with mental health conditions, so students, for example, with anxiety, depression, eating disorders. Also students with neurological conditions, which includes brain injury, epilepsy, narcolepsy, chronic migraines. Also students with significant ongoing illness. Now, this is a huge category because it includes any student that has a condition where they are seeing a consultant that has impacted on them attending school. Maybe they've missed it due to operations or due to their illness, and can include students with diabetes. It can include students with heart conditions, Crohn's, any condition that's impacted on that young person being able to go into school fully engage with the curriculum. Also students with a physical disability, so our students who are wheelchair users, but also our students with severe scoliosis, students with back disorders, anything again that might impact that young person. And finally, the largest cohort of students that tend to apply for DARE are students with a specific learning difficulty. So our students with dyslexia or dyscalculia. So in order to be eligible for DARE, you need to apply for DARE. And I'll go into that in a moment about how you apply for DARE. But in order to be eligible for DARE, you need two main elements. The first is that there has been educational impact for the student while they're in school. So, for example, as I mentioned earlier, perhaps it takes them longer to do their homework. Perhaps they have missed large chunks of school because of their illness. So there needs to be educational impact. For some of our students with a diagnosis of dyslexia or depression or anxiety or other conditions, there may not have been impact. And that's okay. They don't have to apply for DARE. DARE is just for those students where there has been educational impact. The second piece to make you eligible for DARE is that you provide evidence of your diagnosis, be it that evidence is from a consultant or from a psychologist, and I'll go into a little bit of that information in a moment. So there are the two parts that make somebody eligible for DARE, that there has been impact and that there is evidence to confirm that the diagnosis and that diagnosis falls in line with the DARE criteria. This will make a person eligible for DARE. This does not guarantee that they will get a DARE offer. It just makes them eligible. It means then when it comes to the CAO offers that they compete for a place within the quota of places that we have here within DCU. So just because you're eligible for DARE does not mean that you will automatically be given a place in DCU or in any of the colleges or universities. You must compete for that place. And I'll talk about that in a moment. So how do you apply for DARE? Firstly, you must apply to the CAO by the 1st of February 2026. So DARE is done all through the CAO. It's very streamlined. You only have to apply to DARE once, and that will cover all the colleges that are part of DARE. And all the universities and colleges, third level colleges within Ireland, are part of DARE. So you apply to the CAO once, as I said, but must do it by the 1st of February. So you must have opened your account by the 1st of February. There is a lot of information in the DARE handbook, which many of the schools have available for students, or else online on accesscollege.ie. That handbook is available online and it will take you through the steps in detail of what you need to do to apply for DARE. So the first part is there is a section A called the Supplementary Information Form, and I'll talk a little bit about that more in a moment. But you just need to know that you need to go in, set up the account by the 1st of February, and then you need to go into this Section A by the 1st of March to say you want to be in DARE. There are some students who choose not to apply for DARE, and that's absolutely okay. They don't have to. It's only if they feel they need it or they feel they've been impacted. So you must say yes to DARE on the online form, which is Section A. The second part then is you need to start getting your documentation together, the documentation which confirms your diagnosis, which states your condition, be it from your consultant or psychologist or psychiatrist. And then you also submit this educational impact statement. Both of those, the evidence confirming your diagnosis and that educational impact statement, need to be with the CAO by the 10th of March. They need to be posted into the CAO by the 10th of March. It's really, really important. The deadlines are very strict, so you need to get them in by the 10th of March. And what's also is really important is that proof of postage. So when you are sending in those 2 pieces of documents, you may have more than 2 pieces, but you will have the evidence confirming your diagnosis and you will have that educational impact statement, which I'll talk about in a moment. When you're sending in any of those documentation, get your proof of postage from the post office. So go to the post office. I think it's probably more along the lines now, registered post rather than just proof of postage, but go to your post office. Ask them for proof of postage and they will give you a receipt and it will state what date you sent your evidence into the CAO. This is really, really important because each year evidence will go missing through the post. If that's the case, you will be notified after the end of the process to say, look, you started to apply for DARE. We can see that you filled in Section A, but we never got your evidence. And you'll go, no, but I did send the evidence in, and you will show them your receipt to say that you did send in information within the timeline into the CAO. That means they will reconsider your application. If you do not have that proof of postage, you will just be out of DARE. So it's really, really important to get that proof of postage to show that you did send in case stuff goes missing. Not a lot goes missing, but each year that there would be a couple of elements and a couple of parts of someone's application that might go missing. So proof of postage is really important. So back to the 3 sections. There were 3 main sections for DARE when you're applying for DARE. Section A is the first part, which I mentioned, and you complete this online. This is done through your CAO account. It's called the Supplementary Information Form. And this talks about, you fill in what diagnosis you have. You fill in if you have more than one. You also note what supports you would have gotten second level. And there's also a personal statement piece that you can fill in. It's not compulsory, but you can fill that in. And that's really for the young person to tell the colleges how this condition has impacted on them. This isn't really taken into account when it comes to DARE eligibility. It is more for the supports once the student comes into college. So it gives us an understanding before we meet the young person to see how, from their perspective, this condition has impacted on them. So that Section A is completed online. It's through your CAO form and it must be completed by the 1st of March. The second part is Section B, and this is called the Educational Impact Statement. And this is where you fill this out with the school. So all the schools are very much aware of DARE and they're very much aware of Section B. And its impact statement will, as I said, yourself and the school fill it out and you talk about how your condition has impacted on your diagnosis. You will talk about, there's different sections that you fill in. Does it take you longer to complete your homework? Have you missed school due to your medical condition or illness? Do you refrain from other activities within the school because of your condition? Have your grades suffered because of the onset of your medical condition, for example? So there's a number of questions that you and the school fill out. You will fill that out with the school, you will take it back and you will post in a copy of that form by registered post or with proof of postage into the CAO before the 10th of March. Okay, so that impact statement, while you fill it out with the school, it is your document. You need to take that document back, keep the original and post in a copy by the 10th of March into the CAO in Galway. The third part is that Section C is that evidence of disability documentation. So this is documentation which confirms what diagnosis you have. It will differ from diagnosis. It will differ from the age range will differ. So for some students with autism, for example, there is no age limit on the documentation. It needs to be from specific psychologists and psychiatrists, but there is no age limit. So it could be from when the young person was 5 or 6. That's absolutely fine because it's it's an ongoing condition that that young person has. But for others that they might have a medical condition, there is a time limit. That evidence needs to be less than 3 years old. The same for our students or applicants with mental health difficulties. That evidence needs to be less than 3 years old, and it needs to be from a psychiatrist. It can be not be from a psychologist or a counsellor. So all this information about what evidence you need and from who and how old that evidence has to be is all in the handbook, or it's all on accesscollege.ie. So it's really, really important. Depending on what condition you're applying under, please look at that category. Or if you're applying under multiple, which is absolutely fine, just make sure the evidence is in line with what we require. Again, there's a couple of ways of doing this. There is a Section C form you actually print off from accesscollege.ie, and you get your consultant or psychiatrist to fill that out. Or else you might have a report already at home, that is within date, that is from the correct professional. They're all fine. It just depends on what you have. There is also an option to go to the GP for them to provide a copy of the evidence they have belonging to you. They fill out part of the form, but then they attach the evidence from that consultant or that psychiatrist. It is not enough for the GP just to fill out the form to confirm the diagnosis. They need to attach whatever evidence they have on file belonging to you. So just if you are going down that GP route, please make sure that form from the GP is not enough on its own. And each year, applicants are not made eligible for DARE because of the GP has not attached the evidence that is required. Again, make sure you have proof of postage when you send that to the CAO, because if it does go missing, you will have that second opportunity to send in that evidence. Remember that if you are eligible for both HERE and DARE, you can apply for both. So HERE is another access route into third level, which enables students to come in on reduced points. It's typically for students who have come from lower socioeconomic backgrounds who typically don't go to college, where there might be unemployment at home or social welfare payments. So applicants who are both DARE and HERE can apply for both, and the colleges then decide on which offer they should receive. So just remember, if you are eligible for both, then please do apply for both. These are the timelines. So I've mentioned a few of them already. The 1st of March is where they actually close. So open that CAO account before the 1st of February. Say you want to be in DARE or HERE by the 1st of March. Ensure that all your documentation is in before the 10th of March into the CAO. So that's in Galway. They are very strict on the deadlines. There is some allowance made if you are unable to get your documentation because of a consultant is unavailable and you've tried to make appointments, but these are very rare and you have to make an appeal in that case. So please just remember the 10th of March is very important. You will be notified of your eligibility at the end of June, just after the Leaving Certificate. It will come into your CAO account and it will state whether or not you're eligible for DARE or ineligible for DARE. If you're eligible for DARE, then you are able to be considered for DARE. As I said earlier, you won't be guaranteed a place in DARE, but we will consider you for a DARE offer. If you are ineligible for DARE and you feel that an administrative error has occurred or that a mistake has been made when they've been screening your assessment, you can make an appeal and you can say, I need you to recheck this. I think there's been a mistake. So you have until early July to make that appeal. It's quite a tight turnaround. So just please keep an eye on your accounts the end of June and early July. Every year, students are away on holidays and they don't check. And then when they do check, they realize they're too late for the appeal. So please check on those dates and make sure you have that in your calendar to check your CAO account. The HERE and DARE offers will occur during the main CAO offers, which is usually mid-August. You won't know that you're getting a DARE offer unless you know you didn't get the points. There's nothing different about how you receive your offer. So you, as I said, unless you didn't get the points, you'll know that is a DARE offer. And then most of the colleges will have some sort of specialist college orientation for any of the DARE students coming in. And ourselves here in DCU typically would have it in the first week of September. We run it over 3 days where we bring students in who have got DARE offers and also non-DARE offers, but might have a diagnosis. And we just get you to get familiar with the college, familiar with the team that's going to support you while you're here, and get to just have tours of the campus. It's quite a relaxed day, but really, really valuable for the students. As I said, the DARE application outcome, you will be informed of this on your CAO account. So please keep an eye on this. It will happen after, as I said, after the Leaving Certificate. You log into your CAO application to see your DARE application outcome. As I said, if you feel there's been a mistake or you have any queries on that, there is information about how you can contact the colleges who will be able to answer any queries that you may have in relation to that. So as I said, more information on accesscollege.ie. Both the information on here and there are there. There are the forms, there are downloads, there's the handbook, and there's more information on what evidence you require um, under what category and age group, and that, as I mentioned, for DARE. So usually when I'm giving this presentation at the open days in person, this is a very, very important slide. And usually, the question people always have is how much point reduction is given under DARE. So while DARE is a national scheme, and as I said, you only have to apply once, and all the colleges that you've applied for will get access to that information. You don't have to apply to multiple colleges. How much point reduction we give does differ from college to college, which can be a little bit confusing for applicants. For DCU, we have 5% of all program places reserved for DARE. So that equates to, for our business program, we have about 9 places. For our sports, we have 1. For our nursing general, we have about 8 places. And then for our BEd, our teaching program, we have about 20. So it really just depends on the size of the actual course, will determine how many places we have for DARE that we give under the points. Regardless of whether someone is eligible for DARE, they must meet the program requirements. So, for example, if a student is doing the BEd, there will be a specific requirement around the Irish. And for engineering, there will be a requirement around the maths. DARE cannot help with that. You still need to get those program requirements, but we can help with reduced points. As I said, how much points does differ from college to college. So if you do have a question about a specific college, you can call them, you can attend information sessions like this, because they do differ. Within DCU, how it works is we will receive a list of all the DARE students who are eligible for DARE who want to come to DCU. This is during the offer period. I will then, and my team will look at the first person under the points, main CAO points. So say if a course like business, for example, was 560, we would look at the first DARE person under the points at 559. If there's no one there, we work our way down to 558, and we work our way down under the points to fill our quotas. It may be that we have students from the priority group. So we might have students who are either blind, deaf, or physical disabilities, and they will take priority above other students when it comes to offers. But by and large, those numbers are very small, so they tend not to impact the general DARE applicant. So it is a competition under the points, and the closer you are to the main points, the more advantageous it is, and more likely that you will be made an offer. Points reduction differs from year to year and differs from program to program. It could be some programs, because we've only 1 place, we might end up only going down about 5 points. For the programs where we have more places, you might be 20, 30 points. It really, really depends on the year, how popular a course is that year, and how many applicants actually have applied for that place. Just to be clear, DARE does not add points to the Leaving Cert. Every year we get a phone call from applicants stating, but where's the 50, the 30, whatever the points DARE was going to add, they didn't add it. That's not how it works. It is a competition under the points, and that would be the same across all the colleges and universities. How much point reduction just differs, as I mentioned. So please talk to the specific colleges. Okay, so that's about DARE. If you do want more information, obviously, as I said, accesscollege.ie is where you should go and have a look. If there's any questions come up, obviously I can answer them here this evening. If not, I'll have my contact details at the end, and I'm happy to take any queries over the phone or email if you have about DARE. So please just use those details. So I'm going to move on very briefly about what supports we have at college for students with a disability or specific learning difficulty or mental health, or any of the categories that I mentioned for DARE. Just to start with, generally, there is a range of supports available for all students at the universities and colleges, not just coming through DARE. So there are a huge amount of services that are available, including student advisors, where students can meet with a student advisor one-to-one and talk about their course, talk about how they're getting on, and if they've any concerns about the course. We also have a health centre, which is nurse-led, has GP service. We have many autism-friendly initiatives, including quiet spaces, sensory pods. There's also a counselling service available to all students. If you are a student that has a mental health difficulty that is already engaged with a counsellor outside of DCU, we would recommend that you stay with that counsellor, just because obviously you've built up a relationship with that counsellor, but also there is a limited number of appointments students can avail of counselling within the university. And if it's a long-term support that you require, then you would be wiser to stay with the support you actually have outside the university. We have a career service that can help students throughout their degree here at DCU in getting career ready and to look at the options for them when they get to the end of their degree. We have student learning, which provides supports to students around note-taking skills, writing workshops, academic skills, timekeeping, timetabling, all those type of things. There's also some financial support available for students. We have a Maths Learning Centre as well here within DCU. They're based in the library, and the Maths Learning Centre and Writing Centre are both based in the library, and they help students with either maths queries or those writing elements. So it may be that a student doing maths has a particular issue with a particular question in maths, and they bring that maths question over to the Learning Centre, and the postgraduate tutors there will help that student work through how to resolve that query. And similarly with the Writing Centre as well, which is part of student learning, the student may go to the Writing Centre and they can work on developing their writing skills and their academic writing skills. And then finally, we also have a chaplaincy support here is available. All these supports are available across both the Glasnevin and the St. Patrick's campus. So in relation specifically for students who are part of the DLSS, which is our Disability and Learning Support Service. So these are students coming in through DARE, but also students that are coming in, either they chose not to come through DARE or when they're in the university, receive a diagnosis. So regardless of how a student enters the university, they can still avail of the exact same supports as a DARE student. So just remember that if it's something that the young person experiences while they're here, they can still avail of supports with us. So in order to avail of supports, a student must sign up with the disability service as soon as possible. So if you are a DARE applicant or you are coming through the CAO and you have ticked the box to say that you have a disability, we will know that you're coming in and we will invite you in to meet with us for that orientation day. But also over the course of the first few weeks of semester one, we will invite you in either to meet with the disability officer or to complete the needs assessment form online. But we will be in touch with you. But, you know, certainly for students that have higher needs, if you are a student who is blind or deaf or a wheelchair user or a physical condition, and we are here all summer, and we would highly recommend that you come in and meet with us over the summer to make sure that any supports that you need are in place for you starting. But for others, absolutely, we will be in touch with you, but certainly you can email us as well. You will meet with the disability officer, as I said, or complete an online form for the needs assessment. And that needs assessment will identify what the student is going to need while they're here. So, and I'll talk a little bit about what supports are available to students. But the needs assessment will talk about what they received in second level, what worked, what do they find effective. It will talk about what supports they can avail of while they're here. So exam supports or workshops or technology. So each student will either meet with the disability officer or complete that online. And then on behalf of the student, we apply to what's called the Fund for Students with Disabilities. And this allows us to pay for technology or to pay for supports, be it a personal assistant, a range of supports that we apply on behalf of the student. Unfortunately, we are unable to provide the student with the actual fund, but we are able to provide the student with the actual support from that fund. So the types of supports that a student may avail of here within DCU, for some of our students with significant physical disabilities, they may require a personal assistant. So that personal assistant will help them get from lecture hall to their accommodation. It will help them in the canteen, whatever that student needs while they're here during their academic hours. ISL is Irish Sign Language. So for some of our students who are deaf, whose first language is ISL, they are provided with ISL while they're here as a student. Some of our students, be it our students that would have a physical disability or perhaps our students who are blind or who are deaf, may require a note taker or an assistant with them during their college hours. And again, through that Fund for Students with Disabilities, we are able to provide that. And finally, recording software is also a very common support that many of our students with dyslexia would use. It is a software, it's an app that students can have on their phone that, with permission from the lecturer, that they can record the lecture, and it allows them to organize their own notes, the recording, and also their academic notes all in the one place. And we provide training for those students as well. But that would be a key support for many of our students with dyslexia or perhaps with ADHD or mental health difficulties, or artistic students where concentration may be challenged. There may be difficulties there. So again, we will meet with the student and we will talk with the student through these supports, both at the orientation day, but also when we meet them or do the online needs assessment. The next row is all about exam supports, and they would typically be the main supports that our students would receive. And perhaps they've had something similar in second level, or they're going to have it for the Leaving Certificate. So a significant number of students would receive extra time in exams. So that is typically 10 minutes per hour, and it enables students with dyslexia to reread their questions, to um, double check their spelling, to just take a bit more time over the questions. Also, for our students with a medical condition that may need to take time out to check their levels, or to other conditions. For example, our students with physical disabilities with a back disorder may need to take time out to stretch. We also have a smaller exam hall, so where our students with dyslexia would be for the extra time to be managed, but also our students with anxiety or with autism, where the larger hall of maybe 400 students, instead they're in a room with maybe 30 or 40 other students. It's much more manageable. Some of our students, for example, with a physical disability or with dyspraxia, may have difficulty actually writing their exam, so they can use a PC in a PC lab to type their exam. And then finally, our students with dyslexia can avail of dyslexia guidelines. So this would be available to students that would have specific difficulties with spelling in relation to the dyslexia, and this is similar to the spelling and grammar waiver that you would have for the Leaving Cert. It is a little bit different in the university to how this is applied, as there may be modules that you are studying where the dyslexia guidelines cannot be applied. So for example, a student studying Irish, where spelling and grammar must be demonstrated for some of those modules, for some of those subjects that student is taking, that waiver cannot apply. Similar with our students, perhaps doing business in Spanish, they need to be able to demonstrate spelling and grammar within Spanish. So if you have any concerns about that, please do give me a call or drop me an email, and I can talk you through further about that. We do have more information on our website about that. And then finally, in relation to the other supports that we would have, we have 2 full-time occupational therapists who work with students with dyslexia or with autism, ADHD, to help them stay on track, to help them manage their social elements of it as well as being a student. They run workshops, they run one-to-one. We have a social communication group that our OTs run. And we also have a range of assistive technology, including that recording software. We also have software for students in exams that will read the exam to them rather than actually using a physical reader. We can work with our nursing students and our teaching students on their placements and talk about what supports they might need while they're there. And also all our students who are out on work placements, we can work with those students as well. And finally, we run a range of workshops around timekeeping, note taking, study life balance, making sure that if they're working and trying to study and also trying to be a student, they're able to manage all that. So there's a range of supports available. And as I said, this will all be discussed with the student through that needs assessment process. So as I said, if there's any questions now, I'm happy to take them. I think I have a couple of minutes, but please do email us. That's my direct line as well, 01700 5927. Happy to take any questions via email or on the phone. As I mentioned, we are here all summer. So if you have a young person who is anxious about coming to the university, perhaps they're not familiar with this university, or you are a student that has high needs and will require a number of supports, you can absolutely come out to us. We're happy to give you a tour of the campus. We will show you whether it's Glasnevin or St. Patrick's, and we can talk to you about support. So please do email us or contact us, and we're happy to take any questions now.
Thank you, Anne. That was an absolutely fabulous presentation. As usual, I learned something new every single time. Thank you so much. We do have 2 questions. Okay. Somebody's asking, if you're applying through a PLC and are eligible for DARE, do you need to apply? In other words, is it different for Leaving Cert versus PLC?
Yes, so DARE only applies to the Leaving Certificate. It does not apply to any PLC course. So you will be coming in on the PLC results that you have. DARE does not apply to that. If you need support, though, and you're concerned we won't know about you, you can just contact us. You can just drop us an email, be it over the summer or once you get your offer, and we can then engage for supports. But DARE only applies for the Leaving Certificate, not PLC courses.
Thank you, Anne. And the other question is, if a student is diagnosed with dyslexia in 6th class primary school and has a psychologist report with that diagnosis, is that okay to submit?
That, and you need up-to-date scores for a student with dyslexia. So that report of any age stating that they have dyslexia is fine, but you also need up-to-date scores. Typically, the schools will do this for students. They're completing them at the moment, I know from talking to the schools, but you do need up-to-date scores. So those scores are like the reading comprehension, the reading speed, the spelling, and they need to be less than 2 years old. So that's either chat to your school, or else if their school don't do it, or perhaps they're not in school, perhaps that they're in a PLC, you will need to get an educational assessment on a psychological education assessment. But if you would like to ring me tomorrow or drop me an email, I can talk to you further about that if you wish.
Okay, and thank you so much. Yeah, so I
Okay.
don't see any other questions coming up, but you've given plenty of information there for you to be contacted further from here. So I'm going to leave just another few moments, just if there's any more questions that anybody have. And then at that stage, then Natasha, in the meantime, you're very welcome to start sharing your presentation so that you're ready to go in a couple of minutes, and I will introduce you then. I'll just take one more minute, and I don't see
Yeah,
any
no
other
problem.
questions coming up. But Natasha, I can see that. I can see that now. It's in slideshow mode, and I think that's all really.
Thanks a
There's
million,
nothing
Georgina.
else
Thank you very
coming up.
much.
Thank
Good
you
luck,
very
Natasha.
much again. Take
Thanks.
care, Anne.
Bye-bye.
So that was a fabulous presentation from Anne. And next we have our colleague Natasha. And Natasha is going to speak to us about our access services, the HERE entry route. And then she's going to tell us about mature student entry route as well. So thank you very much, Natasha. Go ahead then. And if you want to just say
Great.
something, I can hear you. Perfect.
Okay, thanks, Georgina. Hello, everybody. So, my name is Natasha, and I'm one of the Access support officers, and I work within the Access team in DCU. And today I'll start with talking about the HERE Access entry route, and then at 6:15 approximately, I'll just then talk about the mature entry route. So if you're a mature applicant and you're filling out your CAO, you're welcome to just sign back in at 6:15, and I'll talk about the supports within the Access services at both sessions, just so that you know that. Okay, so just to start with, so the first part of my talk today will be about the HERE access, the higher education access route. So this is you can apply to the DARE, which Anne gave a great presentation a few minutes ago in relation to the disability entry route. This specific entry route is for school leavers who have faced structural, socioeconomic and cultural disadvantage, and it's been in there. Basically, it's been in Ireland for a long time, and it's there specifically to level the playing field. So you can apply to HERE and DARE, and you will get added points if you are both DARE and HERE eligible, and I'll talk through that in a few minutes. So basically, the entry route is to give equal opportunities to students who have faced and are underrepresented in third level education. So just to give you a few statistics, those students within DCU, we're very lucky in that we have 10 places allocated to HERE applicants, so 10% of the places. So if there's 4,000 undergraduate students coming to DCU in 2026, we'll get 400 places. We'll have 400 allocated, and that means that we'll have 10% allocated with reduced points, and also who'll be able to access our supports, which is brilliant. There's also 10% to the QQI FET applicants, and 10% to mature. So I won't be talking about the QQI FET route. I'll make reference to it a little bit in the HERE, throughout the HERE talk and the mature talk, but just to let you know, there's 10% in all three. So, as I mentioned, you have access to, if you're eligible to HERE, you'll have access to reduced points, which is great. And you'll also have access to our support. So we have 3 support officers, and a whole team, and that'll include financial support, academic support, for instance, tuition, and social and personal. And I'll go through a little bit more of that in a second. So, You must, apart from reduced points, and you have to have over 300 points, you must also meet the program requirements. So, for instance, with the Bachelor of Education, you must meet the Irish requirements, or if you're applying to a core science subject, you'd have to meet the maths requirements. So, you just need to look through the prospectus and make sure while you're filling out your CAO of the coming few weeks that you've got the prospectus opened, that you're looking at what the program requirements are. So just to be aware of that. The number of places that we would have for each course obviously depends on how big the course is. So if you have a course, a smallish course like with 30 or 40 students, we would only have 3 students who'd be allocated or who would be able to give reduced points. So it depends on how big the course is. So some of the very big courses like the Bachelor of Education we would have more students that would fill our 10% quota. This is just in relation. So the supports you'll have access to the Student Assistance Fund, which you'll have access every year for your 3 or 4 year degree. We also have an Access Scholarship. And we'll be able to give budgeting advice from the beginning of when the student starts in DCU. We have additional tuition subjects like Irish, biology, chemistry, engineering, maths. And then we also have a program called the Access to the Workplace program, which won an award recently. And this is a summer placement for 10 weeks, and it would be before your intra-placement. We also offer peer mentoring and guidance counselling. And as I said, I'm one of the support officers, so there's 3. There's 2 on the Glasnevin and 1 on the St. Pat's campus. So on the Pat's campus, we have all the teaching courses and the joint honours and the jazz. So I would be the support officer on that campus. Anne made reference to all the brilliant supports that we have on campus. So all our students can access these as well. Obviously, we've got the careers service, counselling, GP and nurse, chaplaincy, the Maths Learning Centre and the Writing Learning Centre. So we'd refer students to all these services also. So we work really closely and we're all centred right next to each other. So it's a lovely sort of convivial working situation. So here is not the SUSI grant, and it can be a bit confusing when you're applying for the here. You need to send your financial documentation for 2024, whereas SUSI is different. It's best to start here, SUSI is not open now, so maybe it's probably a good idea to park it for now. Focus on the here application, and then when SUSI opens in the spring, to then look at applying for the SUSI, because it can be a bit confusing between the two of them. But the here entry route is not the SUSI grant. They're different programs. So who can apply? As long as you're a Leaving Cert student, who is doing their exams this year, and you meet the eligibility, you can apply. But you can also apply if you're considering doing a PLC. So you're filling out your CAO, you're putting down undergraduate courses level 8, but you're also thinking of PLC courses because you can defer your here and you can't get reduced points, but you can get the supports from the Access program. So do consider, even if you're thinking you might end up or you might want to do a PLC, do apply for here if you think you're eligible, because you will be able to get our supports. So for now, just talk to your parent, talk to your guardian, and start the application on the CAO. The main criteria is the household income. So the household income has to be under 46,790 in 2024. If that's for fewer than 4 children, if there's more than 4 children, the income threshold goes up. So just make sure to look at that. If your family has a medical card or a GP card, if your parents or guardians have received a means tested social welfare payment for at least 26 weeks, if you've attended a DESH school, a second level school for 5 years, and if you live in an area of concentrated disadvantage, or if you've experienced homelessness within the last 2 years, you would be eligible for here. There's a new scoring system set up now for here, and the reason for that is to try and make sure that that all the support is given to those who are extremely disadvantaged. So it's slightly different for the application, and I'll go through the differences, but it's not in any way more complicated. So as I'd mentioned, it's to assist students who faced structural socioeconomic barriers, and so this new scoring system is to try and help students with unique circumstances to get access. So it focuses on the most disadvantaged and targets those who are most in need. The income is the mandatory criteria, so you need to meet that income. If you have a medical card, you then will get another point, and if you've got a means-tested social welfare payments benefits, you'd also get 2 points. If you live in an area with a deprivation index score, if it's extremely disadvantaged, you'll get 2.5. If it's very disadvantaged, 2.5. Experienced homeless is 2.5, and if it's disadvantaged, it's 1.5. If you've attended a DESH school you then will get 1.5. So the maximum that you can achieve is 7 points. If your total score is 5.5 to 7, you would be considered a HEAR priority. So you will compete with other students for HEAR reduced points via the CAO, and you'll be prioritized over others. If your score is 2.5, between 2.5 and 5, you will be HEAR eligible, but you won't be prioritized. So you'll be competing for HEAR reduced points via the CAO. And if you get 2 or less, unfortunately, you wouldn't be considered through the CAO for reduced points. The priority groups then are care experienced applicants from the traveller and Roma communities, young parents, and applicants who are both HEAR and DARE eligible. If you're one of the priority groups, all you'd need to do is provide a letter from TUSLA if you're care experienced. If you're from the traveller Roma communities, you just need to provide a letter from your school or somebody within the community. There's a list of those people that you need to who can provide letters. And if you're a young parent, you must provide evidence of low income, and a young parent, you must get a letter from the DSP. If you're DARE eligible, we'd be able to see that. So admissions would be able to see that within the system. The timeline, you just need to start your application and have it done by the 1st of February, review the HEAR handbook, complete all elements online for the HEAR application by 5 o'clock on the 1st of March, and submit clear copies of all your supporting documents by the 10th of March. So you need to post them, make sure they're only copies, and get proof of postage. When you're filling out the HEAR application, you receive a checklist at the end, and this is based on the information you provide. The checklist tells you what documents you need to submit to fully complete. So as you're filling out your CAO, there'll be a checklist there, and it'll prompt you for what documents you need to send in. So if you are starting your application for HEAR, it would be a good time now to request the documents, because it can take a while to get documents from Revenue or the DSP. So make sure to just begin compiling all your documents. Don't leave it too late to get your documents, because you want them to be posted before a good while before the deadline. One of the big reasons that people who apply for HEAR don't get it is they just send them the wrong document. So in relation to income, the statement of liability, if you're in employment, or a self-assessment letter, these are the only 2 documents for 2024 that will be accepted. Nothing else will be accepted. If your family or your guardians are in receipt of social welfare payments, it needs to be a DSP form, a statement signed and stamped by the social welfare official. So it has to be signed, it has to be stamped. And then there's a list then of all the other letters that you could or might need to hand in. But that's the 2 big ones: the statement of liability for 2024 or the DSP signed and stamped. That's the main 2. The handbook is really handy. There's a handbook on the website. So go through that when you're applying, have it opened. Take your time filling the application, just be accurate. Make sure you get your applications in, that you send good copies of so if you're sending a copy of the statement of liability, make sure that the copy is really legible. So keep proof of postage, remember your deadlines. So this is the handbook is on www.accesscollege.ie, and you're welcome to contact us for any advice. And I'll have my email and phone number, our phone numbers are there. So just to run through the deadlines, it closes the 1st of March online. You need to have the documents in through to the CAO on the 10th of March, and you'll be notified of your eligibility in late June. So just keep an eye on your emails. If you've been deemed ineligible and you'd like to appeal, we can help you. Our details will come up when you're notified. It's a very quick turnaround. So if you are notified that you're not eligible and you think you've got the grounds but you're not sure, contact us. We can talk through the appeal and how to do it. It's usually for just a few days. And then the hear offers are the end of August. So again, you'll receive your offer. Just keep an eye on your emails, and then our here orientation will start the late August, beginning of September. So we have a lovely orientation day for the students that have come through here in DCU. There's one on both campuses. So if you're at the Glasnevin campus, we'll have it on Glasnevin, and then another day we have it in St. Patrick's campus. So I think that's everything on the application, the deadlines. You can apply to here and there, and you'll get more points if you do. If you have any queries about your application, anything at all, feel free to contact here at DCU and access at dcu.ie. These are both they're both manned all the time. That's our phone number, and these are our offices on both campuses, and the internet site is accesscollege.ie.
Fantastic, Natasha. I see one question in the Q&A before you move on to your mature student, and somebody is asking, can mature applicants apply for here?
No, unfortunately, no, you can't. So the here entry route is only for Leaving Cert students. I'll be talking about the mature entry. You have to be 23 or over, so you can't apply for both.
Okay. And I don't see any other questions jumping up at the moment. Natasha, if you want to share your next presentation or carry on there. And if anything comes up, then I'll ask you at the end again. Thank you very much.
That's grand. Thanks, Georgina. So I'll now talk about the mature entry route. So this is a completely different entry route, and it's different from the here entry route or the dare entry route in that it's there's no reduced points, but you do apply through the CAO. So we support mature students like we support here students, and we've been doing that since this is our first year supporting mature students. So you'll get a whole range of supports within the Access services. So the mature entry route is open to anyone who's 23 or older in the year they're applying. So that's this year, you have to be 23 or older, and it's open to EU and non-EU candidates applying on that grant. You need to have your application done through the CAO by the 1st of February, and DCU does not accept any late applications. So I know we've been receiving a flurry of queries on our mature support email. So send all the questions in, contact us in admissions, contact your course, because you can't miss that deadline. 10% of all DCU places are allocated to mature students, and 10% are allocated to the QQI FET route applicants. And as I said, we support all mature students and QQI FET students. The admissions team are hard at work also answering a lot of queries. So that's the email for the admissions team is ugadmissions@dcu.ie, and I have the link there to their website. The first thing to do if you're just starting or you're just embarking and applying is to go onto the CAO website as you're going through your form, your application, and there's a mature applicants link, and there's a CAO handbook. There's a whole section on mature and how to apply as a mature applicant. It's really clear, it's really concise. I'll go through it here, but use that as you're applying. Read through it, make sure you're really clear. If you have questions, ask the admissions team, ask us. So there's 11 stages to it, and it's all explained in the CAO manual. So you need to tick box 7 on the qualifications and assessment summary section, and this is on the first page of your CAO. So from the get-go, you just need to make sure that you're ticking box 7, and then you go through you start with your highest qualification to date, your current studies, your post-secondary school education, your second level education, any non-certificate courses, any current employment or previous employment, or any voluntary work, your English language proficiency, if it's applicable. You've got to state or list 2 references. It could be people that you've worked with, so your employer. It could also be anybody that you've contacts in relation to courses that you've done, so that the admissions team can then contact those people to look in relation to the information that you've given. You need to also attach a statement of interest, list hobbies, interests, and any additional information. So we'll go through all of that. So you must provide evidence of your academic competency and experience in their chosen field. So for instance, if you're applying to do teaching, you need to provide any academic competency that you feel would be relevant, and any experience that you have that you feel is relevant to that application. You must demonstrate a genuine interest in the program that you're applying for. So, demonstrate what's motivating you. You must also demonstrate an ability to engage and succeed in your program. So it's important that you demonstrate, given any information on other courses that you've gone to, anything that you think will show that it'd be easy for you to become engaged and succeed in your program. English competency must be supplied if English is not your first language, and you must complete all sections listed. That's really important. The statement of interest is compulsory for your mature application. So it's important to look at the program specific entry requirements. So every course will have specific entry requirements. It could be languages or maths. Go into the prospectus for the undergraduate course, look at what the specific entry requirements are. And then also look at the DCU admissions page and an information on how to, so there's a lot of advice inside within registry. So follow that advice. This is an example of what the prospectus looks like. And if you scroll down, you'll have on the 3rd tab, there's the entry requirements. And then also, I'll just go back, sorry, there's also information on the mature. If you scroll down, you'll see all the information in relation to mature entry route. So for math, science, and language requirements, you must show evidence of exam results or work or life experiences for those courses. So you have to demonstrate evidence. In relation to primary teaching, there'll be a general interview and oral Irish test in May 2026, so keep that in your diary. It's outlined in the prospectus, and you have to apply by the 1st of February. And then in relation to journalism, if you're applying to that course, you must submit, along with other paper documentation, a hard copy of an article that you've written. It has to be 750 words, so it's your own composition, published or non-published. There's a lot of nursing, a lot of students who apply for nursing. It's one of the most popular mature courses. I just have very quickly a little bit of information on that because it's slightly different, but you need to have the minimum requirements in maths, physics, chemistry, biology, or agricultural sciences. You will be sitting a test, and it's once you start the application, that's with the NMBI, and all the information is on their website. There'll be this test consists of verbal reasoning, numeracy, and job simulation, and you have to have achieved a minimum score in that. So the timeline: have your CAO, your application done by the 1st of February, provide all the supplementary information by the 1st of March. Remember to submit a written statement. There's actually a good advice on the website in relation to composing your written statement. In March and April, all applicants who will need to attend an interview will be called for an interview, so keep that in your diary. And in May, you'll receive an email from the admissions to let you know whether or not you are eligible or ineligible to receive an offer. Okay, so now just quickly in the statement of interest, it's part 9 of the CAO. We would say to students, don't type it in, attach it as a Word document, because you will be able to write more, and it's a nicer way of doing it. Make sure your statement is original and personalized, show excitement, make a link to prior study, work experience, your life experiences, all the achievements that you're proud of, and what you will benefit from these studies, and any actions or plans or things that you're planning to do during the degree and as a result of your degree. For your interview, be prepared to be interviewed, research the subject, contact the course chair or contact people in contact which is on the prospectus about it, know the program, speak confidently. There's information about the modules in the prospectus. Ask for information on the modules if you can't see enough to help you be confident. Demonstrate that you're the right person for that program, and practice the answers that you would give out loud and to somebody else. So these are the supports available to all students, including mature students. So we've got a lot of great supports, including Student Learning, the Maths Learning Centre, the Writing Centre, counselling, the disability services. And then the access services start with a whole program over the summer. So once you've got your offer, we then start a Head Start program, which is online. We have a program on the student app called Loop. It's self-learning, and we also have a number of talks that we have a quick question and answers, a talk with the information, the digital staff here. So there's a lot of help and support in the summer before the orientation. And then just before, the week before you'd start college, we've a mature welcome day on the campus. And then during term, we have what we call Learning Cafe. So it's just workshops and drop-in coffee mornings. And you've got the support from the Learning Support team in the Writing Centre. And then there's a Mature Student Society. They run a lot of activities, a lot of coffee mornings and other things. So finance specific to mature students, Uversity is opening the 1st of February. I've got a little card about that in a second, but you can apply to them before. So now, so in the 1st of February, apply to them. There's also Back to Education Susie. And once the semester starts, you can apply to the Student Assistance Fund in the 1916. And we list all of this information on our website. So Uversity is, a great opportunity to apply for funding before you start. There'll be 3 Zoom sessions, and if you do think that you're eligible, I would suggest that you attend them. The dates are listed there, so 1 in February and 2 in March. It kind of coincides with the whole application timeline to the CAO. So there's the specific email for the mature student support is maturestudents@dcu.ie. We're really I'm replying to those straight away and access dcu.ie. So if you have any queries about your application, send an email in. That's the phone number and that's our website. So we've got all the information, there's an advice page on how to apply as a mature applicant on the Mature Students website. If you've any questions, again, UG undergrad admissions at dcu.ie and mature students at dcu.ie. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Thank you so much, Natasha. That was fabulous. I do have a question here for you, and anybody else is welcome to type in their questions onto the Q&A in the meantime. But somebody is asking, to apply for Access Programme as a young adult, what are the document and entry requirement? I'll read it all then, Natasha, if you want me to go back, right? So to apply for Access Programme as a young adult, what are the document and entry requirements? Then it says, and for parents' income, because my family live in a different country and I'm here by my own. And which branch of DCU offer Access Programme, and it says and 20-year.
That's fine. So a lot of colleges have Access Foundation programs. So that could be so we don't have a foundation program. If you're under 23 and you're doing your Leaving Cert, you think you're eligible, you should apply for the HERE entry route. If you're 23 and over, you should apply through the Mature entry route. And if you are living independently, either way, you can, I mean, if it's not clear to you what you need to, because for Susie it would be different, but for the HERE entry route, if you're a mature student, you wouldn't have to send any sort of supporting documentation. I think that's what the query is, isn't it, Georgine? It's more about financial documentation.
I think so. What we could invite the person to do is contact you directly. Would that be okay to actually write?
Yeah, I think so.
I won't say the name out, but that person knows that they've put in the message. So if you would please contact directly the relevant departments, and they will certainly help you or pass on who needs to be able to help you. We can do it that way. There's another question. As a young mother living with my parents, What way would I apply for financial help as I am an SNA and won't be able to keep it up as I go to college?
Yeah, so I'm not sure what course you're applying for. It may be nursing or psychology, but even no matter what course, all the courses are full time, and it would be hard. It's really difficult to balance work plus, especially if you're an SNA, like the timetable wouldn't allow for it. So I would say if you're a single parent, you're applying through the mature route, I would attend those university scholarship talks, all three of them, contact them. And I think you'd be a priority group as a single parent. You could be. Then when you come to college, you would have access to applying to the Student Assistance Fund. You might have access to the Back to Education or SUSI. So just look at both of those as options. And then maybe the 1916. The links to all of those scholarships is on our website. So just do your own research, look into them, have a read, spend time looking at them. But the only one that you can apply for right now is the university. Or in a
Great.
few
And again,
weeks.
you can also contact directly this guest we have tonight. They can contact your office directly, and will I
Absolutely. Yeah.
get the offer? Get the answer via email, or certainly you'll pass it on to whoever is relevant to answer it. We've another
Thank you.
question. It's how many days per week should you be in college if you are a mature student full time?
Yeah, so this is a big thing for mature students. It's you depending on the course, it would be 5 days, and it could be. I mean, the primary school education, some of their days is 9 to 5, 9 to 6. Engineering is the same. Nursing is the same. Some of the courses in humanities is less, but it's even if you're not in college, like that, you still have assignments to do. So you really can't work during the week. It's just not possible. There's a very small amount of part-time courses in DCU, but if you're a mature student, financially, it's the thing to do would be to save and make it financially viable for you to be able to go to college and research all the scholarships and SUSI and Back to Education, because it's not possible. I've seen students who tried to balance working a lot during the week, and it just never works out. Part-time work, all our students work part-time in the weekend, but you just have to really be careful.
The person just emailed, or excuse me, texted in, say they were talking about post-primary teachers.
Yeah, that's a busy course. I mean, I'm not trying to put you off, but it's a really lovely course. It's a busy course. You'll have your placements. You'll have placements first, second, third, and fourth during the placements. And before, you would have to be really organized. So I'd say what tends to happen with the primary and post-primary is that they do go back to their schools to get their placements, and they also do the odd bit of work during outside the college year. So you can work for your school, for a school, but that would be outside the college year. So students tend to do that. But yeah, you have to, it's a busy program. It's a lovely program, but you have to dedicate your time to that.
Thank you so much, Natasha. At the moment, I don't see questions coming up. We just give it 1 minute. In the meantime, if you could unshare, and I will invite our next speaker. Before I introduce you properly, Molly, I will invite you to share your presentation. I'm seeing one more question there. I will ask yourself, Natasha, while Molly is sharing her presentation. Will DCU online programs be suitable for mature student?
The online program. So the Access service we run a program to help students transition back into college, and that's custom made. It's on our student portal Loop, and we run sort of a transitioning program over the summer. So that's really helpful, and all the mature first years who've accessed that have found that really helpful, because it runs through everything like maths literacy, writing literacy, everything that you might need for college.
Thank you, Natasha. And there's a question here. Can you apply for a teaching council number while studying to work in schools outside of your college days?
Not first year. I think it's third year. And that's for primary. And really that's something that you need to check. I mean, I'm always double check that type of thing through the teaching council.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Natasha, thank you so much. If there are any questions for Natasha, then you can contact her via the email and contact details that she had up on screen. And thank you so much, everybody, for engaging so well. Natasha, thank you for your fabulous presentations.
Thank you.
And next, I'm going to introduce you to our next speaker. We have Molly Moran. And Molly is our Sports Scholarship and Performance Manager. And Molly is going to present to you on sporting life in DCU. I can see your presentation. If you just say something, Molly, I'll just check we can hear you.
Hi, Georgina. Yeah,
that's it. That's it. Perfect. Thank you so much, Molly.
Oh, you're gone on mute now. Okay, perfect. I'll kick off anyways. Hello, everybody who's left graveyard shift this evening from 6:30 to 7, but hopefully it's informative and useful to you all. So let me just click through the slides. Are they clicking through? Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Perfect.
So it's great to be presenting this academic year after coming off such a successful year for us in DCU Sport. We won Sports University of the Year for 2025, which is great because we've just had so many successes through all our clubs throughout the last academic year, 24 and 25. And just before I get into loads of the detail, all the student clubs are run and led by students, so all the committees, all the coaching, and then where we can assist in our department is through performance benefits and performance guidance and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a real credit to the students on the successes from last year, and we hope to see more of it this year. So just some lovely pictures of the games that went on over the last 12 months or so. You'll notice here that some of the girls are all wrapped up in hats and coats and everything. So just a warning for anybody looking to participate in student sport. It's great, but it is during the winter, so you will have some weather days out there. I always love when this picture comes up because we do this every year with our GAA teams, the performance teams, and I think this spread here of lads in the jerseys, like everybody is asked to wear their club jerseys, and just to represent the clubs and the grassroots levels that have brought them right the way from when they first started sport up to now university success, like, which really, when you look at it, it's on a national scale, like, because you're competing against other universities from all over Ireland and students that are from anywhere in the country as well, and maybe even from the EU or even further afield than that. So it's always nice to recognise where students have come from and see like how sport has developed them the whole way through their educational career as well, and how the two have gone hand in hand. I'm hoping this will play for everybody now. Maybe Georgina, if you could just give me a thumbs up if the sound is working on this.
I can't hear anything yet, Molly.
What does it mean? Sometimes looking back, always moving forward. The many ways to measure it, and to each our own. The last few yards, the height of the jump, the cold winter mornings and the missed morning bus. The panic of the alarm clock that tells you you're late. The blast of the whistle and the deep inhale. That's the thing about time. It passes in a span of moments. It's the space between the fumble and the catch, the stumble and the landing, the goal, the try, the point, the cheers, the jeers, the ringing in your ears, the morning lectures, through the laughter, sometimes the tears. Time is how you spend it. And what did you find? The gap in their line, the energy to push through one more time, to make the leap out of yourself, knowing that you are one in over 18,000 who found your tribe under floodlights, part of the great history of elite players and incredible people who you'll know for the rest of your life. The advice that made all the difference, that made you part of something larger than yourself, that makes you realize that's all time is, a series of moments. And that's enough. Time waits for no one, and it shouldn't have to. So ask yourself, what did you find? Because it lives on in youth.
Okay, so hopefully you've recognized a few people in those videos there. Everyone who featured is either a current or a past student of DCU, and that's right the way up to coaches as well. So that was just a glimpse into how sport kind of fits into university life and how busy it is, the amount of people that you connect with, all the facilities. I know short clips of them, but it really is an exciting community to be a part of within DCU, and you get to meet so many people throughout it. And again, that journey of coming from a student who wants to come in and play sport right the way up to an alumni that when you leave, you come back and you coach some of the performance teams. It's really something special to be a part of. So on to the next few photos then. I don't know if anybody on the call recognizes these two girls, but they're both players for Dublin Camogie, and have been battling over the last few years in the senior championship camogie competition that universities compete in. So they've probably spent the last 20 years of their life, they're twins, by the way, 20 years of their life learning the sport and developing through this sport together. And then on one of the biggest days, like this is technically an All-Ireland final that they're pictured after, and they're competing against each other in different jerseys. So it's a nice kind of avenue that university sport can take you down as well. Again, two famous GAA players here, battling it out in Croke Park, but we're really good friends from university, having studied the same course, and I suppose developed hugely, like from training with each other in the university setting to then going playing against each other in the mecca of GAA, that is Croke Park. Here's some of our massive clubs that we actually feature in DCU. So we've everything from water and adventure sports to archery to accessibility sports and para sports as well. And we're very proud to have alumni that have featured in Paralympics and Olympics too. So there really is like a space for everyone to compete in sport in DCU. And then on the clubs front, they train weekly from September to April. Depending on your club, it's largely in a DCU facility. Some of the water sports obviously train off-site, but everything really, the majority of sports is within a 10-minute commute from the Glasnevin campus at most. We cater to every level from beginners to competitive. We compete in university leagues, cups, and intervarsity competition. And then students also have the opportunity to compete in international competition when the FISU University Games are on as well. So that's in conjunction with your national governing body, whatever your sport is. And if it's competing in those games, you have the opportunity to be put forward for that. All our clubs are student run and led. So we help develop clubs that aren't active yet. We help to keep clubs going. We help write the policy that keep club activity safe and functioning financially. But the reason that all this is possible is because we have so many students helping us. And I suppose develop their leadership and organizational skills through being on committees in sports clubs. So we're very, very grateful for that. And we have a great network that's functioning. And we hope to develop that even further. That international competition, sorry, as mentioned, was the FISU World University Games, and then an appropriate level of activity. So I suppose the student clubs and even the performance teams, we understand that you will more than likely be coming to university having participated in your sport already. But even if you haven't, that's absolutely fine. But it's just to acknowledge that we get that you have maybe an external commitment to your club or your county or your province or whatever that external facilitator for your sport is as well. So I suppose there is just these options to I suppose voice your your appropriate level of activity to student sport. We have another video here of a student who has come through the sporting ranks, helping us develop clubs.
Hi, my name's Connor. I coach the DCU Moynihan Cup team, and I was analyst for the Sigerson footballers from 2022 through to last February. From my experiences with the analysis and working with the Sigerson team, obviously an elite team over that time, it kind of gave me a bit of a niche in terms of a coaching aspect. So I applied through the opportunities obviously given by DCU and got put with the Moynihan team back in 2023 was our first season, 23-24, and I've been with them ever since. If it wasn't for the platform that DCU give you to get involved with committee, with coaching, with analysis, with whatever you want, really, I wouldn't have got that opportunity. As you mentioned, working with Dublin Camogie for the last 2 years, performance analyst was brilliant. And again, gaining that exposure and elite performance level is excellent. I can only speak highly about the group that I have. Our so-called core group has probably been about 15 players ever since I was involved in with them. Just the enthusiasm, the buy-in from minute one is, I would say, second to none. Like, it is what you probably would get at O'Connor and Giles level in any other college. Like, we've always held our standards very high, and we probably weren't as successful in that first year. But, you know, like, one of the things I instilled in the girls was there's two forms of success when it comes to college football, and that's, you know, the success that happens on the pitch, obviously with results, but that's secondary to the success that happens off the pitch with the connections that you make and the friendships that you have. I definitely think the overall communication aspect in terms of leadership and just overall confidence as well, in terms of standing up and not being afraid to speak out if something's not going well, or even if something is going well, making sure to reinforce that. To win DCU's first Morning Cup with an incredible group and the memories that made, and like it actually was overwhelming, even just talking to the girls and talking to their parents and stuff at full time, and just they were saying like you are a central part of their college life and the stuff that you do is second to none. Like, you know, the tough days that we had in first year, it kind of made it come that full circle moment together and made it so much more rewarding.
I really love that story from Connor because he is actively coaching peers like his own age, and it's just developed him so much as a person and as a sports person as well. And then the opportunities that he's gotten outside of DCU. So he works with Dublin Camogie as an analyst as well, and he's really active in his home club too, St. Oliver Plunkett. So it's great to see that those skills that are developed within DCU be taken externally as well, but to know that the route came from DCU and the opportunities provided. So we've just included here some pictures of our sports facilities, and I apologise for the top left. That gym floor has been renovated and upgraded, so I should have changed that picture because it looks amazing now. It looks like an American sort of gym floor that you'd see. We've doubled up on the squat racks, and yeah, there's just a lot more kind of functional space for general population and student athletes too. We have our pitches that are floodlit on both our DCU sports grounds and in St. Pat's. And then we also have our 25-metre swimming pool that have spa facilities such as sauna, steam room, jacuzzi, and a tepidarium too. In recent years, we also acquired Morton Stadium and all the facilities that go with that. So the indoor track, the gym, the changing facilities, and then when necessary, we install either soccer goalposts or rugby goalposts on that grass patch there. We're also upgrading, you can't see it in the picture because it's on this side behind the DCU mat, but we're upgrading that stand as well over the next, I think, 5 years. So there'll be more gym space and more indoor training areas. So yeah, we're very grateful to be managing Morton now as well. Some familiar faces that hopefully you recognise that have come through the doors of DCU. And I suppose what's important about these guys is that they have been through a dual career journey. So they have come in probably already having achieved a really high level of sport, but wanting to keep that up and combine third level study with it. So we have students here that have gone through engineering undergrads, you know, like really time heavy on lecture content and placements, but they've managed to still feature on Olympic panels and Olympic squads. So I suppose that's the main support that I myself will give, and maybe one or two others in my office, is help manage that dual career aspect. We largely see it in the Olympic sports and individual sports mainly, but I suppose it's just to send out a message to say that sport and education can go hand in hand, and that we're very lucky to have academic staff in DCU that support that as well. And I suppose that if you're someone on the call who is looking to I suppose, enter into a dual career, just get in touch with myself. My email is at the end of this presentation, and we can just start the conversations with the relevant people in the network as soon as possible, just to make sure that everything is kind of as easy and as planned out as possible. Sorry, I should have clicked onto this one while I was going through that too. Some more of our internationals that hopefully you guys recognize. And I suppose these are just clips of or photos of other sports as well. So we do tend to see GAA and athletics feature quite a bit, but we've had quite a few hockey internationals, and then Sarah Rowe there, bottom right, has obviously gone on and developed her career even further from entering DCU as a GAA athlete to then playing professional sport over in Australia, both AFL and soccer. So our performance sports programs kind of have two supports for incoming undergrads. So you have your sports scholarship support, which is your post entry. So that's confirmed once you have accepted a place in DCU and once you are shortlisted through the different stages of the sports scholarship application process. And then we also are in a position to offer CAO points concession to students combining elite level sport and their leaving cert, and that's a pre-entry support mechanism that we are very privileged to offer. So the CAO points concession is anywhere between 1 and 25 additional points onto your leaving cert points if you are shortlisted through our sports scholarship application process, sorry. So once you apply through our online applications that open on February 1st and will remain open until May 1st, myself and the team then shortlist you, and we get in contact to notify you if you are eligible or not to receive CAO points concession. One thing I will say is that the points have been so unpredictable in the last couple of years, especially since COVID and predicted grades, and we're still not back at like a kind of a place where we can predict whether courses will go up or down. So I will say absolutely apply for the support, but don't depend on it. And then another thing with that is that not every course in DCU will accept the AO points concession just because of things like demand, maybe the difficulty of the course as well. And just to let you all know as well that if we're assigning the AO points concession, we need to consider the subjects that you have included in your points, because you have to meet the minimum entry criteria ahead of receiving a points concession. I forgot this slide is there. So DCU has put in place a special entry scheme for elite sports person for all undergrad courses. So obviously this doesn't apply to any postgrad applicants. And then also if you're applying from a non-CAO entry route, we can't apply CAO points concession. So numbers are obviously limited, and we can't obviously accommodate everybody, but we do try our best to accommodate as many as possible. And I suppose it's just recognition for the combination of sport and academia throughout your leaving cert. So coming up in the next couple of weeks, this is a clip from our last Sports Scholarship Award ceremony. So this is an event that we hold every year to recognise our sports scholars. It's great to always have the president there involved too, and he acknowledges just the level of athleticism that we have within the college, and I suppose the commitment that the students are given to both sport and third level education too. So we're very lucky to host such a nice event, and just to let you all know, the parents or guests are invited to this event as well. So it's nice to have, I suppose, your immediate support network invited to something in the university, because you often find that the only other event that you can attend is the graduation, and that's when everything is over. So this is kind of nice to have each year, and to have some of your family members or those closest to you attend. Another video from some of our alumni.
DCU Sports Performance Program has been a great help to me over the last 4 years, from gym membership and access to DCU sports grounds to academic supports over the 4 years. The program has really helped me to perform at my best on and off the field.
The DCU Sports Performance Program has helped me develop in many ways, from access to gym and pool facilities for strength and conditioning and top-class coaching to bring my performance on the pitch to a better level, to both academic and financial support, which have helped keep stress levels low during my time in DCU.
DCU Sports Performance Program has had a massive impact on me as a student athlete. Having the ability to live on a student campus has you close to the library, all your lectures, and the gym for strength and conditioning and recovery after games.
The DCU Sports Performance Programme helped me massively, in particular with academic support. In second year, I struggled with a module, and through this programme, I was entitled to academic support. Honestly, can't be thankful enough for everything that DCU has done for me.
So I don't know if you recognize some of the names there. They're all GAA alumni, and they have all featured in All Ireland series in recent years, both club and inter-county. And I suppose they've just outlined some of the supports that they've received throughout their time in DCU, and just how it aided them really. So it's nice to hear the testimonials from students who have actually received it. So just take a look at the list here. There are main supports, and obviously if there's anything outside that, there's myself and the team that I work with that students can come and chat to one-to-one to see if we can support in additional capacities. So financial subsidy that will typically range from around €1,000 up to €4,000 per year, and that is a bursary that is put into the student's bank account. So it's not a fee waiver or fee reduction, and it can't go directly towards student accommodation or academic kind of materials, but the student itself does have the opportunity to spend it how they wish. So if they are priorities for them, it's kind of up to them to use it that way. Membership to our sports facilities with S&C support, high performance education talks and workshops, and other sports science support such as sports psych, sports nutrition, and then there's also fitness testing opportunities as well. There's academic support. Where possible, we try link people up with maybe another sports scholar in the year of the same course ahead of them, or really develop a peer mentoring relationship again where there's a suitable fit available. But I suppose it's nice having quite a large network of sports scholars there that can support incoming students. The dual career support then that looks like either slow pacing of your academics, maybe getting modules moved around or exams deferred without penalty. There is always like an ongoing communication process surrounding this support, but it's highly beneficial to those who avail of it. And again, as mentioned earlier, we kind of see it typically towards the Olympic sports and individual athletes that travel internationally for their elite sport. So again, really lucky to have academic staff on board with supporting students to combine a dual career. access to national and international competition, as I mentioned during the clubs piece. And then for our performance sports, we can offer coaching expertise. So just a little note there at the bottom, that support services are dependent on the grade of scholarship awarded and may be paid in full or subsidised. So applicants who are successful in receiving a sports scholarship may receive one, some, or all of these. And just because someone may not be successful in their first application doesn't mean that they can't apply in second, third, and fourth year, and even postgrad. So the opportunity is kind of ongoing. I think that picture is in the wrong place. That's more just about combining your academic and sport and the alumni that have come through the doors. I'll leave this up for a few minutes. So this is all of our email and titles for the people that I work with in my office. It's a great team to be a part of, and we all have our strengths, but we all work really closely together. So if you are a GAA student coming in, but maybe the head of athletics might be able to help, that's absolutely possible as well. So it's a nice kind of interdisciplinary team that we work among. And then because our applications aren't opening until February 1st, you can scan this QR code here and fill in your details if you are interested in being notified about our applications opening. Just to note, our application is online, it's on our website. All the questions are there for you to fill in. So there's no CVs or added documentation or video clips or anything required. If there is anything additional that we need as we're shortlisting, we will contact you directly. But as I said, the web form is there, and yeah, all the kind of information that's required on our end is just you'll have a blank box to fill in. Don't use the click here thing, that won't work through the slides. But that expression of interest QR code should work. I think that is my last slide. Yeah, thank you, and hopefully see you all soon. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Molly. That was fabulous. I see one question here that I'll ask you, and if anybody else has any questions as I'm reading this one out, you can put it into the little Q&A box on your screen there. Somebody wants to know, how much is it to join the college gym for the year?
Oh, okay, that will be on our website as well. I'm not entirely sure of the price. Last time I worked there, it was around 250, but I think it could be gone up by then. There is semester prices as well as academic year, as well as 12-month prices for students. But if you go on to dcu.ie and click facilities, all the prices are there. So yeah, I would trust that rather than myself.
Well, you gave loads of information there, Molly. We'll just leave it literally like a few seconds to see if anybody wants to put in any other questions. But if not, you left all your contact details on the screen. So
yeah, I was just going to go back to that there. So yeah,
contact you directly.
Yeah.
That was fantastic, Molly. There's no more questions coming up at the moment. So before we sign off, I just want to say thank you so much for everybody for joining. Again, please feel free to contact us with any further questions. And we really hope to see you in DCU next year. Thank you all again. And thank you, Molly. And thank you, Anthony.
Thanks, Emil. I'll stop sharing now.
Just giving it the last few seconds if there's any questions, but there's nothing coming up at the moment. And then I will just log us all out at 7 o'clock, which is a few seconds away. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Molly. And take care and have a nice evening, everybody.
Thank you all and good night.